Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be why you're not a priority. Well, I've got a couple of emails I'm going to go through, but before we get into it, I got a quote that I wrote I'd like to share with you. And it says, if you don't feel you deserve someone or something in your heart, you'll think, speak, and act in ways that demonstrate this to them and the universe. The quickest way to get someone else's attention is to remove yours. Removing your attention and focus from people and circumstances you want is how you lose your attachment to needing them in your life. It's the difference between wanting but not having and becoming accepting of the possibility of having or not having what you want and being okay with either outcome. Once you're okay with either possibility, you'll start acting, thinking, and speaking in ways that either manifest exactly what you want or bring you an even better possibility you may not have thought of or considered. So let's go ahead and jump right into this first guy's email. He says, hey Corey, so long story short, we had a coaching session back in April and I've read your book several times and watched most of your videos. The info is very helpful and I believe it's helped me reattract a girl I was dating. Just to refresh you on my story, I dated a girl that I met in September of last year until February of this year. She went pretty cold on me pretty quickly. We were dating and hanging out about once a week and things were great. At least you thought they were great. But all of a sudden she started to become distant and was harder to get dates with her and her communication with me decreased. Well, that's definitely signs of a woman who's losing attraction instead of her attraction growing. He says, then we had a talk back in late February and she told me a relationship is not a priority and that she didn't want to hurt me and she's not good at relationships. Well, that tells me that you were focused on getting her into a commitment, locking her down to a relationship. And so when you're thinking that way, because typically the average guy, is just like the quote that I shared, when you're thinking about a relationship, what's going on is deep down, you don't think you deserve someone like her. You don't think that in the long run, she's going to want to choose you and fall in love with you and want to become your girlfriend. And so you act in ways and you think in ways and the way you talk and your body language and your physiology, everything in essence is communicating, I don't deserve you, I'm not good enough for you. And usually to compensate for that, you over pursue, you call too much, you're too easy, you're too available, you never tend to stand up for yourself. And it starts out with like little subtle testing here and there just to see if she can get you to change the plans or she changes things at the last minute and you just always go along with it. I mean, think about it this way. If you had friends that were jerking you around all the time, you wouldn't put up with that bullshit. You're like, what's up, dude? What's up with that? Or you just wouldn't call those friends and want to hang out with them anymore because they're not valuing you or your time. But if deep down you don't feel you're good enough, then when a woman starts jerking you around and testing your strength and you just go along with it just because you're happy to have a date with her, she starts to realize that you don't think you're good enough for her. And that's going to cause her to back away and test even more. And typically what happens is you start pursuing more. And just like, obviously we had a talk in February. So obviously in your mind, the reason that you had the talk was that you wanted to lock her down. You wanted to feel better about yourself. You wanted to feel better about being with her or dating her. And you figured some kind of logical conversation was going to get her to change her mind. And all it did was make her feel like she's going to lose her freedom, and that's why she bounced on you. He says, our relationship changed that day from dating to pen pals. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. He says, after finding your work online, I stopped all communication with her back in mid-March. But she would text me every so often to say hello and random small talk. Anyway, this went on until late June of this year, when we finally met up again in early July for a date. Fast forward almost 3 months later, and we've been dating, and she has warmed up to me tremendously, saying things like babe and terms of affection that she has never used before. But here's the issue. You notice how it is. It's like I said in the quote, the quickest way to get somebody else's attention is to remove yours. And when you remove your attention, then if you mean anything to her, if she misses you, if she values you in any way, she's going to reach out when she realizes you've stopped moving forward completely. But it's hard when you've made a lot of mistakes with this girl over several months to just basically do a 180 and get her to start pursuing and chasing. Because what happens a lot of time is the girl starts to come back and the guy thinks, oh great, and then he goes right back to his old behavior, and it just pushes her right out of your life, and it just reconfirms to her that she made the right decision several months before when she basically blew you off the last time. He says, but here's the issue presently and the reason for my email. Altogether, we've dated 8 months, and I can't seem to make her move me up the list of her priorities. Well, see, you're looking at the 8 months that you've been seeing this girl like it somehow matters. It really doesn't. The only thing that matters is how you're showing up right now in the present moment. The only thing that matters is how she's treating you right now. And a lot of guys mistakenly think, hey, we dated for 8 months or it's been a year and it's not really going anywhere. But at the end of the day, you're still focused on a relationship. You're still focused on locking her down to a commitment in order to feel better about yourself, in order to feel like, okay, this girl really does care about me. And at the end of the day, if she's hanging out with you and having fun with you and you guys are hooking up, then you're making progress. But anytime a guy is doing more than 20 to 30% of the calling, texting, and pursuing, it's too much. In this particular case, you shouldn't have had to do anything. And then when she started reaching out to you, you should have just let her do that. The fallback position is always just call her once a week and invite her out on one date. But this girl blew you off previously. This is not like a normal case. And that's why you wait for her to reach out to you. She reaches out to you, you make the next date, and then you get off the phone. He says, I can't seem to get her to want to see me more than once a week. It's obvious because you're still pursuing her too much. She's 29 and very busy between working at night and school, but even when she has some downtime, she fills it up with other things. And and listen to what he says. He says, I'm always left waiting for her to become available. That definitely tells me that you're pursuing too much. And a really powerful thing to say, but it's obviously very hard for someone in your situation when you're trying to change your ways, is like if she's unavailable or she's unsure, she's like, oh, I don't know, I can't really make it. The best way to handle that is just to say, hey, when you figure out your schedule, get in touch with me. And then you back off and you walk away and you don't do anything at that point. Maybe a week goes by, maybe 2 weeks goes by. And then when she reaches out to you, assume she's figured out her schedule or whatever. Obviously, she's missing you more at that point. That's had a positive effect on her attraction level. And you just simply use that as an opportunity to set the next date and allow her to come to you. And what I would do in this particular case is let her do pretty much all of the calling and texting, pursuing. Because you obviously, to some degree, when she started coming back, you started pursuing more again. And then that kind of caused her to back away. Because at the end of the day, she wouldn't have called you and reached out to you if she didn't feel something for you. But when things are like this, it's always because the guy's pursuing too much. Because at the end of the day, if she was really into you, if she really felt those feelings, even though she's busy, she'd make time for you. You would be a priority to her. But you don't act like you're deserving of becoming a priority through your actions and the things you're saying. And plus the fact all these months later, 6-7 months later after we had that first phone session, you're basically still doing a lot of the same behaviors that are pushing her away. So he says, plus, she never asked me to get together. I always have to ask her when she's free, and she often waits till the last minute to commit to plans with me. Well, the proper way to handle it is when a woman says, I don't know, I got to get back to you, it tells me that you're calling her like a few days later, and well, did you figure it out? Did you figure out your schedule? And you're still waiting on her. You're still pursuing her, and you might think that that's innocuous and it's not a big deal. But obviously, all I have to do is look at her actions, and this tells me that instead of just saying, "Great, well, when you figure it out, give me a call and we'll plan something in." So what I can tell by what you just shared with me is you're agreeing, like, say you're gonna go out on Thursday night. She's like, "Okay, but I'm not really sure what time, so call me on Thursday." Or call me, or I'll call you. And so you're sitting around on Thursday evening like an hour before your date, and you don't know whether or not you're actually going to go out with her. And then she reaches out to you, and you're just sitting around waiting. A guy who values himself is not going to do that. When a woman says that and she's non-committal, and it's the best way to respond. You just sit, what you do is you just say, look, when you figure out your schedule, give me a call then, and we'll plan something. Don't make a date where it's like a maybe date, where you don't know for sure whether or not you're getting together. That's weakness. A guy who values his time, I mean, if you're a busy professional and you got a busy business, you might only have a couple of nights a week to spend with someone. And so you don't want to be waiting until the last minute and then find out that she's just going to cancel and ditch you anyways, because that sucks. But when you act like this, when you go along with these things where you're waiting to hear from her at the last minute whether or not you're going to have a date, then obviously probably sometimes she blows you off and you don't spend any time together with her. It's like you've got to be willing to this is part of losing your attachment, because you're obviously attached to this girl, you're attached to the relationship, and you're fearful of the possibility that it's not going to work out for you with her, and that's clouding your judgment, and it's clouding all of your actions, and she can sense that. She can sense that you're more eager, you're more into this than she is into it, and you're just not backing off enough and standing up for yourself and handling, because I discuss this stuff in my book. I discuss how to handle situations like this, because at the end of the day, a definite date means you have a definite day and a definite time to get together. And if a woman will not give you a definite time, or she says, oh, well, call me on the day of and we'll confirm, or we'll tighten up plans. Whenever a woman says that, then just say, hey, it sounds like your schedule's kind of up in the air, so why don't you just give me a call when you figure out your schedule and we'll plan something then. In other words, make a definite date, and if she won't do it, withdraw the offer and just tell her to call you. And then you have to wait for her to reach out to you again, because even you think, oh, it's just one phone call or it's just one text, that's enough. That's enough to communicate that you still don't value yourself. There's no consequences to her actions of jerking you around. That's why after 8 months, she's still jerking you around and she still hasn't fallen in love with you. So he says, so I'd like to know what actions I can take to make her want to spend more time with me, and also to have her ask me first about hanging out. Well, at the end of the day, most women aren't going to do that. They're going to call you or text you and say, I had a great time the other night, or hey, I was thinking about you. And so at the end of the day, when she calls you, when she texts you, you should assume, oh, she wants to see me. Let me make that happen in as few steps as possible. So he says, I follow all of your rules to the best as the situation will allow. If you were really following the rules, dude, you wouldn't be writing me about this email. He says, not talking on the phone too long. Well, the phone is for setting dates, and this tells me that you're still chit-chatting on the phone. It's like, because you want more, because you're just happy to have any kind of contact with her. It's a bad way to go. Not over-texting, not chasing, letting her text first, not talking about a relationship, etc. I hear what you're saying. However, I look at your actions, and I look at what she's doing. And her actions tell me everything about your behavior, and you're bullshitting yourself a little bit. It's just the way it is. He says, but yet I still can't get her to relate to me in the way I would like after 8 months of dating. Again, 8 months don't matter. The only thing that matters is she's acting like a girl who's got other options. Maybe she's dating other guys, and you're not acting like you have any value with her. And because of that, you're just still hovering around, locking her down to a relationship. Even though you're not saying it and bringing it up, you're acting in a way that's needy, and that's what's pushing her away. So that's what you need to do, is just back off, let her call you. When she calls you or texts you, assume she wants to see you. Make a date, make a definite date. If she won't make definite plans, or she gives you that BS about calling to verify, or she won't make a definite time, or she'll be like, well, I'm unsure. How about Saturday? But, I'll have to get in touch with you Saturday. You got to be willing to walk away and say, well, you know what? If your schedule's kind of up in the air, just get in touch with me when you figure out your schedule, and we'll plan something then. And then you probably won't even hear from her on Saturday. But if she does call you Saturday, just say, hey, how are you? Oh, hey, I was, I was thinking about getting together tonight. Or just, oh, I'd love to, but I already made plans. But I definitely want to see you. When are you free to get together next? That's the proper response. What that will communicate to her is that you're not going to sit around and wait on her. In other words, It's like a limited time offer. You notice it in television advertising. The reason they use it is because it emotionally works with people. Hey, if you don't call right now and get your 1995 widget, supplies are going to be gone or the price is going to go up. And so like what she realized when she calls you and she waits till the last minute and then wants you to just drop what you're doing and hang out with her and you're unavailable. And then she's going to realize, oh wow, if I don't make plans, then he's going to just make plans to do something else. And that obviously will change how she interacts with you. So let's get on to the second email. This one's a short one. This guy says, hey Corey, here's my situation. I've known this girl for about 4 years and I've always liked her, and I've attempted asking her out in the past but went about it all wrong. She has told me when I was in a relationship that she liked me, but I wasn't single, so I couldn't do anything about it. Now we're both single and we're 18. I'm jobless at the moment, so I can't afford to date. I can't afford date after date, and she is busy often, and we have a class together in school, so I was just curious on how to subtly make her chase me because she's shown interest. I just don't know how to go about it. I've read your book and listened to your CDs and watched your YouTube videos. Well, it's like if you read my book, it shouldn't be like a mystery to you. So, I mean, what's going on here is that you said you went about it all wrong. I don't know what that means, or obviously you've watched enough of my videos and read my book enough to know that the way you handled yourself was not a way that created attraction. And so if this girl's kind of jerking you around, I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't call her, I wouldn't text her, I wouldn't do nothing. If she's unwilling to make dates with you, it's walk away. You know, it's like what Adam Carolla says, and I even added that to the second edition of my book. It's when a woman likes you, she starts opening the doors for you, and all you have to do is literally walk through those doors. But if the doors start shutting in your face, you turn around and walk away. But what's happening is like when the door shuts in your face, just like the previous email that I did, it's like you're standing outside knocking on the door, waiting on her porch, and she's looking at you through the security camera going, the dude's just sitting there. Like, what's up with that? It doesn't make you look like it's like you're acting like this is the last woman you're ever going to meet in your life. So if she ever calls you, if she ever texts you, like if you see her in class and you're chatting, you just say, call me later when you're leaving. Hey, cool, nice chatting with you. Call me later. And you don't have to do anything else. And if she calls you, maybe it's a few days later, and she's just like, hey, what are you doing? What are you up to? You've been studying for class yet? Or whatever it happens to be. And obviously you're in college, you don't have a lot of money. You don't have to go out and spend extravagant amounts of money and dates. It's simple. You can have her come over to your place. Say, hey, why don't we get together and study, and we'll make dinner together and let's hang out. When are you free? Give her your address, invite her to come on over and hang out. It's real simple. Hang out, have fun, hook up. You can go to a picnic by the lake. You could have a study date by the lake or something like that, and bring a lunch so you can study, and then you can talk and flirt, and you can tease her. And when she's playing with her, because obviously if she told you that she liked you, she's still going to find you physically attractive. But until you start acting confidently, until you start acting like a guy who perceives himself as having value, she's just going to look at you as like a friend. So when she reaches out to you, assume she wants to see you, make a definite date, just like the guy I was whose email I was reading before. Definite date, definite time to get together. If she won't do it, withdraw the offer and just say, great, when you figure out your schedule, give me a call, we'll plan something then. And then 3 or 4 days later, she calls you, gets in touch with you. Assume that means that she's checked her schedule and make the next date. I mean, these are little things, but they make a huge difference in how the woman is going to perceive you, because you're acting, like I said, in a way that communicates that you don't feel like you're good enough for her. And like I said, you already made a lot of mistakes with her, but at the end of the day, the phone's for setting dates. It's simple as that. You don't, like I said, you don't have to spend a ton of money on her, but that's what I would do if I were you. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone coaching or Skype session. You can do that by going to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.